Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I have with me the Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 lens. In this video, I'll talk about why I like this lens more than the Olympus 17 F1.8. Let's do this! Before we dive in, here are some important disclaimers. I did not buy this lens. In fact, I requested from Yongnuo to send me this lens for review purposes, and I do get to keep this lens after making this video. However, I made it very clear to Yongnuo from the start that they have no control or any influence on what I want to say in this video. So why did I ask Yongnuo to send me this lens? Well, I was genuinely curious about this 17mm lens for micro four thirds. As you all know, 35mm equivalent focal length is popular for street photography, and I am a street photographer. And we don't have a lot of 35mm equivalent lens options for micro four thirds. Yes, we have the Olympus 17 F2.8, which is old, and autofocus is too slow, and the image quality, there was nothing to write home about. Of course, we have the Olympus 17 F1.8. I know a lot of people love that lens, but if you've been following my channel, I've complained about the lens a lot. I just do not like the rendering, the look of the lens. It is flat, uninteresting, and dull. It's just something that I don't like to work with. And of course, we have the excellent Olympus 17 F1.2, but I think that lens is a little bit on the high pricing side, and the lens is too large for street photography, and we don't need F1.2 for street photography shooting under bright sunny conditions. So in terms of compact, prime 35mm equivalent lens, I got really curious when Yongnuo launched the 17 F1.7, and I really hope that this lens performs well. I really like the minimalist look and design on this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 lens. It is in all black, it looks really sleek, and the lens itself only has two controls on it. There's the manual focusing ring and the autofocus to manual focusing switch. The lens build quality is actually quite decent. It is mostly in plastic. The barrel of the lens is made in plastic. It doesn't scream like a pro-grade lens quality, but it doesn't feel cheap as well. There is something interesting about the lens hood. The lens hood is made of metal construction, which I thought is weird because most hood is made of plastic. But the weird thing is that the metal hood is fixed on the lens and there's no way to detach it. So somehow, in a way, the metal hood adds a little bit of bulk and size to the lens, which may not necessarily be a good thing. Another interesting thing about this lens is that it is partially weather sealed. The lens itself is not weather sealed, but the mount area is. There's a rubber sealing that prevents water from going in at the mount area. The lens is quite light. It weighs about 180 grams. It pairs very well with my OM System OM1 camera. I also tested this lens on my Olympus EPL7. The lens has no issue whatsoever on these cameras. The handling, it was balanced. Overall, the performance of the lens is quite good. Autofocus is fast and reliable. It is as fast as any other micro four thirds lenses from Olympus or Panasonic. When it comes to image quality, I'm genuinely very happy with what this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 lens can do. Yongnuo claims that in terms of lens construction, this lens consists of 10 elements in 9 groups. Yongnuo also claims the use of some special glasses, namely 2 spherical lenses and 2 extra low dispersion lenses. Looking at the images, this lens manages to produce sharp results, even shooting at wide open aperture f1.7. Images come out looking really good. There's plenty of fine details, really good contrast, and the sharpness is consistent from edge to edge, corner to corner, and I wouldn't hesitate to use this lens shooting wide open f1.7 if I have to. Overall, I also love the bokeh rendering of this lens. The out of focus area, it looks creamy, it looks buttery smooth, it is not distracting at all. Combining this smooth blur bokeh area with the sharp in focus zone in the image, this lens can render some really punchy images with good 3D pop. Images look realistic, and I really love the rendering of this lens. There's something pleasing, something organic about it. Of course, this lens is not perfect. There are some technical flaws, and we'll talk about those technical flaw control of this lens after we look at some images. Generally, this Yongnuo 17 F1.7 handles lens flaws very well. I was actually very surprised to see how this lens is actually highly resistant to flare and ghosting. Shooting against strong sources of light, I did not see much flare, haze, or ghosting problem. This lens can resist them, and the images still come out with really good contrast. There may be some flare and ghosting here and there, but they are not severe, and it shouldn't be a concern for you. Maybe it's due to this fixed lens hood on the lens, or maybe Yongnuo uses some better coating in the glasses, I don't know. But anyways, I was happy to see that this lens actually performs better than many Micro Four Thirds lenses when it comes to resisting flare. There is some distortion. If you're shooting images with straight lines, you can see barrel distortion. The straight lines are not perfectly straight, but this is not a big issue. You can easily fix it in post. Shooting in high contrast situations, especially at wider apertures like f1.7, f2.8, you do get to see traces of chromatic aberration. Purple fringing is very noticeable, but this also can be easily remedied. All you have to do is just stop down to f5.6 or beyond, then the purple fringing or any chromatic aberration will disappear, and you can also correct this in post-processing. So all these flaws or any of the issues regarding the lens technical flaws, they are not too severe, and I think they are non-deal breakers. I think the big question here is, how does this Yongnuo 17 f1.7 compare to the Olympus 17 f1.8, which is a popular lens among Micro Four Thirds shooters? Well, the Olympus 17 f1.8 has 2 main advantages. Number 1, the Olympus 17 f1.8 is much smaller than this Yongnuo 17 f1.7. In fact, the Yongnuo 17 is about twice the size of the Olympus 17 f1.8. So if it's very important for you to have the smallest setup possible, you want your camera and lens to be as small, as compact as you can make it, then the Olympus 17 f1.8 is the better choice. And number 2, The Olympus 17mm F1.8 has full metal body construction. The housing of the lens barrel is made of metal, whereas this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 is made of plastic. And that's where the advantages on the Olympus 17mm F1.8 ends. Now, coming to this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7, it has the advantage of going closer to the subject. The minimum focusing distance is 0.18 meters versus 0.25 meters on the Olympus 17mm F1.8. Going much closer to the subject allows you more magnification, and you can do a lot more in terms of creative composition with this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 lens. And finally, for me, the deal breaker here is that the Yongnuo 17mm F1.7, I love the rendering from this lens more than what the Olympus 17mm F1.8 can do. I feel that the images coming out from this Yongnuo 17, they look more pleasing, more natural, more organic. I just feel that there's something off with the images from the Olympus 17mm F1.8. I can't quite put my finger on what's wrong. Images just look generally very flat, uninteresting. They look dull. They're not lifelike, and I really much prefer what I see coming out from this Yongnuo 17. I know this last observation is subjective. I can't quantify it. I can't give you numbers to compare. And even if I show you side-by-side images, you may not see what I see, or you may see different things. And this opinion is personal, I get it, but it is important to me. Lens rendering is important to me. How the images look, it actually will make or break the shot. So for me, overall, all things considered, I actually prefer this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 over the Olympus 17mm F1.8. That's all I have to share about this Yongnuo 17mm F1.7 lens for Micro Four Thirds system. If you found my sharing beneficial, if you've enjoyed looking at my photographs, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how I can do that. Any small contribution goes a long way. It will definitely help me to continue making more content and publish them right here. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.